I welcome you all to my sixth lecture on signals and systems for electronics and communication engineering students and electronics and computer engineering students. Today, I am going to discuss the time invariance property of systems. A system is time invariant if the behavior and characteristics of the system are fixed over time. Specifically, a system is time invariant if a time shift in the input signal results in an identical time shift in the output signal. If Yn is the output of a discrete time system, when Xn is the input to the time invariant system, then Y bracket n minus n naught is the output when X bracket n minus n naught is applied as the input. Here n naught is the delay. Similarly, in continuous time with Yt, the output corresponding to the input Xt, a time invariant system will have Y bracket t minus t naught as the output when X bracket t minus t naught is the input. Here t naught is the delay. Now look at this block diagram. Here this block indicates a system with system function h. Now input to this system is xt and the output is yt. Now I am going to give a test signal x bracket t minus t naught, which is a delayed version of xt, to the same system with system function h, and the output is observed to be y bracket t minus t naught. So this system is time invariant system. To see how to determine whether a system is time invariant or not, and to gain some insight into this property, consider the following examples. Consider the continuous time system defined by yt is equal to sine bracket xt, mark it as equation A1. Here yt is output of the system and xt is input to the system. Let x1t be an arbitrary input to this system, and then consider a second input obtained by shifting x1t in time as x2t, such that x2t is equal to x1 bracket t minus t naught, where t naught is delay. Now we have two inputs, x1t and x2t, and we will give these inputs one by one to the system and check the output. So the corresponding outputs are y1t is equal to sine bracket x1t when x1t is the input. Mark it as equation A2. Now we will feed the system with x2t as input. So output y2t is equal to sine bracket x2t. But we know that here x2t is equal to x1 bracket t minus t naught. So y2t is equal to sine bracket x1 bracket t minus t naught. Mark it as equation A3. From equation A2, it is clear that y1 bracket t minus t naught is equal to sine bracket x1 bracket t minus t naught. Mark it as equation A4. And this is further equal to y2t. So it is clear then that y1 bracket t minus t naught is equal to y2t. So that is why this system is linear time invariant system. Therefore, equation A5 is sufficient to prove that this system is time invariant in nature. In another example, consider the discrete time system Yn is equal to nxn. Whether it is a time variant or time invariant system, we need to determine. So we will follow the given strategy as below. For this, we will follow two steps. At first step, we will use one cascaded configuration in which at first stage, there is a system with system function h. And at second stage, there is a delay element as shown. Now the input is xn, which is fed to system h. Now the output is nxn. Here this n is scale factor. Now this output of system is taken as input for the delay element, and the output of this delay is n x bracket n minus n naught is equal to y1 n. So at output of first configuration, we will have y1 n is equal to n into x bracket n minus n naught. Now at second level, we use another cascaded configuration. In this configuration, we have interchanged the position of delay and system. Now, in the second cascaded configuration, the delay element is placed at first position and the system is placed at the second position. We now feed same input signal xn to delay element first, and the output is x bracket n minus n naught, which is further fed to the system with system function h, and the output is y2n, which is equal to bracket n minus n naught into x bracket n minus n naught. Now we will compare y1n and y2n. And as y1n is not equal to y2n, therefore it is a time variant system. In another example, consider the continuous time system yt is equal to x bracket 2t. Whether it is a time variant or time invariant system, we need to determine. But here we have been given input signal xt. So let us consider the following input signal xt as plotted. Here xt is having amplitude 1 when t is lying in the range -2 to 2 and xt is 0 otherwise. Now we will follow the same strategy to determine whether the system is time variant or invariant. Now at first level, we are using a cascaded configuration in which at first stage there is a system with system function h, and at second stage there is a delay element. So the input is xt, which is fed to the system, and the output is y1t here, which here y1t is equal to x bracket 2t. Now y1t is fed to the delay element. The output is y1 bracket t minus t naught is equal to x bracket 2t minus 2t naught, where t naught is a delay. Now at second level, we are using second cascaded configuration in which the position of system and delay is interchanged. Now delay comes first. So the same input xt is fed to the delay element, and we are getting x bracket t minus t naught here. And this is fed further to the system with system function h, and the output is y2t is equal to x bracket 2t minus t naught. Now we will compare y1 bracket t minus t naught and y2t, and they are not matching with each other, as y1 bracket t minus t naught is not equal to y2t. Therefore, it is a time variant system. Now, as we are having input signal xt, this is the plot for xt. So we can also have a view from graphs of output. So at first level, the output of system is y1t, which is a compressed version of xt. Now y1t minus t naught, which is delayed version of y1t, is plotted here, where t naught is equal to 2. And for the second level, or the second cascaded configuration, xt minus t naught is plotted here with t naught is equal to 2, and y2t is plotted here. Now compare the plots of y1 bracket t minus t naught and y2t. It is quite clear that both are different. So the concerned system is time variant system. Now we will discuss linear time invariant systems, which are also known as LTI systems. Now look at this block diagram. This block represents LTI system. In discrete time domain, when Xn is input, then the output of this LTI system is Yn, and here Hn is impulse response. And in the continuous time domain, if input is Xt and the LTI system is having impulse response Ht, then output will be Yt. One of the important characteristics of the unit impulse, both in the discrete time and in continuous time, is that very general signals can be represented as linear combinations of delayed impulses. When we are talking about this, we are stating Hn as impulse response. That is why we are talking about the unit impulses. So one of the important characteristics of the unit impulse, both in discrete time and in continuous time, is that very general signals can be represented as linear combinations of delayed impulses. This fact, together with properties of superposition and time invariance, will allow us to develop a complete characterization of any LTI system in terms of its response to a unit impulse. Therefore, such a representation, referred to as convolution sum in the discrete time case and the convolution integral in continuous time, provides considerable analytical convenience in dealing with the LTI systems. Now we will discuss discrete time LTI systems. So representation of discrete time signals in terms of impulses need to be discussed. The key idea in visualizing how the discrete time unit impulse can be used to construct any discrete time signal is to think of a discrete time signal as a sequence of individual impulses. I repeat, the key idea in visualizing how the discrete time unit impulse can be used to construct any discrete time signal is to think a discrete time signal as a sequence of individual impulses. So we need to understand this example. Now, we need to plot this x bracket minus 1 into delta bracket n plus 1 is equal to x bracket minus 1 at n is equal to minus 1 and 0 at n not equal to minus 1. Now look at this. This x bracket minus 1 is scale of this unit impulse. This is time advanced version of unit impulse function. Delta bracket n plus 1 is time advanced version of unit impulse function. So we need to plot it. Now the impulse is time advanced version. So it will move to this side by one step because n plus 1. So this unit impulse function is defined at n is equal to minus 1. So I have plotted an impulse at n is equal to minus 1 with amplitude x bracket minus 1. So I have assigned a value 2, arbitrary value 2 to x bracket minus 1 here. Similarly, x0 into delta n is equal to x0 at n is equal to 0 and 0 for n not equal to 0. So this x0 is scale and this is unit impulse, which is defined at n is equal to 0, that is at origin. So I have plotted an impulse here with amplitude x0. Now third, x1 into delta bracket n minus 1 is x1 n at n is equal to 0 at n equal to 1. I repeat, this is x bracket 1 delta bracket n minus 1 equal to x1 at n is equal to 1 and 0 when n not equal to 1. So look at this. This x bracket 1 is scale factor and this is delayed unit impulse. by 1 unit in discrete time. So I will plot it. Now this unit impulse is defined at n is equal to 1. So I have plotted one impulse at n is equal to 1 with amplitude x1. So these are three different graphs indicating three different scaled shifted impulses. So this is very important example. You need to understand it before moving forward. More generally, by including additional shifted scaled impulses, we can write xn is equal to summation k running from minus infinity to infinity xk delta n minus k, mark it as equation B1. This is discrete time signal representation. Now in the expanded form, I can write or represent xn as xn is equal to x0 delta n plus x1 delta bracket n minus 1 plus x2 delta bracket n minus 2 plus x3 delta bracket n minus 3 plus x minus 1 delta n plus 1 and so on. Now in the compact form, it is represented as equation B1. Now here, this x minus 1 delta n plus 1 is x minus 1 delta n plus 1 is shown here. x0 delta n is shown here. x1 delta n minus 1, x1 delta n minus 1 is shown here. So you need to understand these graphs and the meaning of this equation, that is discrete time signal representation. This corresponds to the representation of an arbitrary sequence as a linear combination of shifted unit impulses delta bracket n minus k, where the weights in the linear combination are xk. So here, look at the equation B1. xn is equal to summation k running from minus infinity to infinity xk delta bracket n minus k. This is weight or scale factor. And delta bracket n minus k is the shifted unit impulse by k units. If xn is equal to un in equation B1 here, so here instead of xk there will be uk. So now un is unit step, then uk is equal to 0 for k less than 0 and uk is equal to 1 for k greater than equal to 0. I repeat, uk is 0 for k less than 0 and uk is equal to 1 for k greater than equal to 0. So xn equal to un is equal to summation k running from 0 to infinity delta n minus k. This is based on equation B1. So here uk is there. So uk is 0 for k less than 0. So the lower limit will be 0 here. And uk is equal to 1 for k greater than equal to 0. So this summation will go from k is equal to 0 to infinity, and here 1 into delta bracket n minus k is there. So equation B3 comes into picture as xn is equal to un is equal to summation k running from 0 to infinity delta bracket n minus k. The equation B1 is called the shifting property of the discrete time unit impulse because the sequence delta bracket n minus k is non-zero only when k is equal to n. Now, next is discrete time unit impulse response and the convolution sum representation of LTI systems. Now we need to consider two facts. Number one, the response of a linear system to xn will be the superposition of the scaled responses of the system to each of these shifted impulses. So this fact is very important. The response of a linear system to xn will be the superposition of the scaled responses of the system to each of these shifted impulses. This is second fact, that the property of time invariance tells us that the response of a time invariant system to the time shifted unit impulses are simply time shifted version of one another. So this fact states the property of time invariance tells us that the response of a time invariant system is to the time shifted unit impulses are simply time shifted version of one another. Therefore, the convolution sum representation of discrete time systems that are both time invariant and linear results from putting these two basic facts together. So the fact one is superposition theorem. The fact two involves time invariance. I repeat, the fact one involves superposition theorem and the fact two involves time invariance, and both contribute towards convolution sum. Therefore, the convolution sum representation of discrete time systems that are both time invariant and linear results from putting these two facts or these two basic facts together. If the discrete time input signal sequence to LTI system is represented as xn is equal to summation k running from minus infinity to infinity xk delta bracket n minus k, then the output is y1. Mark it as equation C1. Now look at this block diagram. Now these blocks are representing linear system with impulse response Hn in parallel. Now here in this block, input is, or in this linear system, input is xk into delta bracket n minus k, and the output is xk into h bracket n minus k. And here in this linear system with impulse response Hn, input is x0 multiplied by delta n, and the output is x0 Hn. Here this is input, that is x bracket minus k delta bracket n plus k is input to this linear system, and the output is x bracket minus k into h n plus k. Now this xk delta n minus k, x0 delta n, x minus k delta n plus k is scaled version of impulses which are input to the linear system with impulse response Hn, and these are the respective outputs are xk h bracket n minus k, x0 hn, x minus k hn plus k, and here they are all summed together to give yn, and that is a result of superposition property. Therefore, consequently, yn is equal to summation k running from minus infinity to infinity xk h n h bracket n minus k, marked as equation C2, which is result of time invariance property and result of linearity property. And this is called convolution sum. So this is called convolution sum. So according to convolution sum, yn is equal to summation k running from minus infinity to infinity xk h subscript k n, or which is equal to summation k running from minus infinity to infinity xk h bracket n minus k. So mark it as equation C2 and C3, which are indicator of convolution sum, that yn is a convolution sum of xk and hk. Now in this block diagram, Hn is the output of system when delta n is the input to the system. That is why Hn is called impulse response. And hk, h subscript kn denotes the response of linear system to the shifted unit impulse delta bracket n minus k. So if xk delta bracket n minus k is given to this system, the output will be xk h bracket n minus k, or xk into h subscript kn. The output of an LTI system yn is equal to summation k running from minus infinity to infinity xk h bracket n minus k is referred to as a convolution sum or superposition sum. And this operation is known as the convolution of sequences xn and hn. So this is referred to as convolution sum or superposition sum. We will represent the operation of convolution symbolically as yn is equal to xn linearly convolved with hn. This is convolution operator, linear convolution operator. Mark it as equal to, mark this equation as C4. In this case, so in the case of an LTI system, the response due to input xk into delta bracket n minus k applied at time k is xk h bracket n minus k as shown above. That is a shifted and scaled version, or that is an echo of hn. So that is a shifted and scaled version, that is an echo of hn. Now we will do linear convolution sum or superposition sum by using one example. Consider an LTI system with impulse response sequence hn equal to 1, 1, 1, and this arrow shows the origin, that is n is equal to 0. So h0 is equal to 1, h1 is equal to 1, h2 is equal to 1. Here it is, arrow sign is indicated that n is equal to 0, n is equal to 1, n is equal to 2. So I repeat, this sample value shows h0 is equal to 1. This sample value shows h1 is equal to 1. This sample value shows h2 is equal to 1. And input xn is 1 by 2 at origin, comma 2. So x0 is 1 by 2, x1 is 2. Determine the output response of this LTI system, that is yn. So yn is equal to xn linearly convolved with hn, and the convolution sum is summation k running from minus infinity to infinity xk into h bracket n minus k. Now, to measure yn at n is equal to 0, that is y0, I will substitute n is equal to 0 here, and that will lead to y0 is equal to summation k running from minus infinity to infinity xk h minus k. So I have plotted xk here with respect to k and hk here with respect to k. And now here I have plotted h minus k, that is reflection of hk. Now for calculation of y0, you look at this, it is summation k running from minus infinity to infinity xk h minus k. So now I will use this graph and this and multiply element by element. You look at this xk and h minus k. So at the sample value k is equal to 0 is matching. So 1 is going to be multiplied by 1 by 2 and there will be 1 by 2 and other values are 0 and the output is 0.5. Similarly, for yn evaluated at n is equal to 1, y1 is equal to summation k running from minus infinity to infinity xk h bracket 1 minus k is equal to y1. So I will plot h bracket minus k plus 1. So this is the plot. Now I will multiply xk with h bracket minus k plus 1 element by element. That is, this element is going to be multiplied by this. So this will contribute 1. This element is going to be multiplied by this. This is going to give 2 and 0 otherwise, and the answer is 2.5. Now for y2, this summation leads to summation k running from minus infinity to infinity xk h2 minus k. So I have plotted h bracket minus k plus 2 here. Now element by element multiplication, and then we will sum it. So this 1 by 2 is going to be multiplied by 1 by 2. So this 2 is going to be multiplied by this 1, 2. So the answer is 2 plus 1 by 2, that is 2.5. Similarly, y3 is calculated to be 2. Now we have output y0, y1, y2, y3. So we'll represent it in vector form as, or sequence in the form of sequence yn is equal to bracket 0.5 at origin. This arrow shows origin, that is n is equal to 0. 0.5 at n is equal to 1. It is 2.5 at n is equal to 2. It is 2.5 at n is equal to 3. It is 2. So its dimension is 1 cross n. Now we have plotted yn. So at n is equal to 0, it is 1 by 2. At n is equal to 1, it is 2.5. It is at n is equal to 1, it is 2.5. At n is equal to 2, it is 2.5. And at n is equal to 3, it is 2. n0, n1, n2, n3. So yn is plotted here. Now, how many terms will be in the output? That is capital N. Now, there is a simple formula to calculate how many terms will be at output. The impulse response sequence Hn is having 3 elements. And now this is 1 cross 3. So value of M is 3. The input sequence is Xn, and there are 2 elements. So this vector is having dimension 1 cross 2. So L is 2. So M is 3 and L is 2. And here the output is the dimension of output vector Yn is 1 cross n. You look at this 1, 2, 3, 4. So it is 1 cross 4. So M is equal to 3 and L is equal to 2 from this given data. M is equal to 3, L is equal to 2. So N, it's a formula that N is equal to L plus M minus 1. So 2 plus 3 minus 1 is 4. So at output, we have, so in the output sequence, we will have 4 elements, 0, 1, 2, 3. So we have 4 elements. So N, capital N is the number of sample values in the output sequence Yn. 1, 2, 3, 4. N is equal to 0, N is equal to 1, N is equal to 2, N is equal to 3. So there are 4 elements. Now consider one more example. Consider an input Xn and a unit impulse response Hn given by Xn is equal to alpha raised to power n un. Un is step function, unit step function. And Hn is equal to un, that is unit step function, with alpha lying in the range 0 to 1. Now, output Yn is equal to summation k running from minus infinity to infinity, xk, h bracket n minus k. Now I will substitute the value of xn and hn. So here it is alpha k uk. So, and here it is hn minus k. So there will be un minus k. So yn is equal to summation k running from minus infinity to infinity, alpha raised to power k uk, u bracket n minus k. Now we will critically analyze this. This uk is unit step function, which is significant for k greater than equal to 0. So no negative values of k are permitted. So the lower limit will go to 0. So k is equal to 0 here. Now look at this. Un minus k is significant when k is less than equal to n. So the higher limit of k is n. So put n here. So this is one subject to the condition k is greater than equal to 0. So lower limit is 0. This is one subject to the condition k less than equal to n. So upper limit of k is n. So yn is equal to summation k running from 0 to n alpha raised to power k for n greater than equal to 0. So this range and this range gives n should be greater than equal to 0. That is, k must be greater than equal to 0 and k must be less than equal to n. So consequently, n should be greater than equal to 0. So here I am putting yn is equal to summation k running from 0 to n alpha raised to power k for n greater than equal to 0. So yn output is equal to 1 minus alpha raised to power n plus 1 by 1 minus alpha for n greater than equal to 0. So instead of writing again and again that for n greater than equal to 0, I can put un here. So yn is equal to 1 minus alpha raised to n plus 1 by 1 minus alpha into un. Un is unit step function. So this is how we represent output in signal and systems. That is yn is equal to bracket 1 minus alpha raised to n plus 1 divided by 1 minus alpha into un. Instead of writing n greater than equal to 0, I am using un here, because unit step function is having amplitude 1 for n greater than equal to 0. So that's all for today's lecture. So these are the reference books. This is the main textbook, that is Signal System by A.V. Oppenheim, A.S. Wilsky, and S.H. Nawab. And these are the supporting books, other reference books you can consult. Thanks for attending this session on Signal Systems. See you in next lecture. Have a nice day.